Only on 9, we are joined by Governor Kevin Stitt. He is talking about some of the top stories that are affecting Oklahoma families.
And Storme Jones has been following all the developments at the state capitol for a couple of years now in the special session. So he's joining us for this conversation as well. Governor, nice to see you.
Great to see you.
You got all three of us here, huh?
He said he's nervous at all the notes that we have.
There we go. They've got all these papers in front of them.
Hey, we had a chance to talk about inflation a little bit earlier, but another thing that's been in the news is mass shootings across the country, and we obviously had one in Tulsa not too long ago as well. Lawmakers in D.C. are trying to figure out some solutions. One of the things that they're talking about is red flag laws. You signed the nation's first anti-red flag law in 2020. Do you still stand behind that? And what are some other things that could stop this?
Yeah, you know, the thing with the red flag laws, we have to have a due process. Just because someone accuses someone of posting something or saying that they don't like somebody, that doesn't give someone the right to come into their home and take their guns. There's got to be due process. So as long as they go before a court and the court finds someone, then of course we want to make sure that our families are safe, and it's already a law that felons cannot have guns, can't own guns. So we need to enforce the laws that we have, and we need to make sure that there's due process. So that's the concern with the Second Amendment, is allowing someone just on hearsay to come into someone's home and take their guns. I don't think anybody wants that. So we're watching that legislation, see what comes out of Washington, D.C., and then we'll comment on it. But that's, you know, we're going to protect our Second Amendments in Oklahoma.
A lot of folks are talking about this Swadley's contract, this multi-million-dollar contract with the state of Oklahoma, and there's a lot of details to it, but I think one thing that has just kind of appeared glaring is just accountability. Even the Office of Management Enterprise Services says that, hey, the tourism department kind of rescinded their accountability to us to even look over the contract. So I think point of entry is, like, was the state negligent in the contract itself?
Well, the big picture is we want to be top 10 in our parks. And so we have 6 different restaurants that we own. We're going to get a new vendor in there to manage those. Our parks, tourism is up. We've got great parks across the state. We'll get a new vendor to manage those 6 restaurants. So right now, we will protect the taxpayers. We'll figure out what happened. There's about 4,600 vendors in the state of Oklahoma, and I will hold them all accountable. If there's a vendor that's cheating the state, we will absolutely investigate. If there's an OSBI investigation, we'll get to the bottom of it. But there's a lot of politics around this right now.
Yes.
And people, it's an election year, and so what Oklahomans are too smart for is they understand that there's people pointing fingers and jockeying. Here's the deal. If there's a vendor that was overcharging the state, we will get to the bottom of it. We think there may be $500,000 worth of bad invoices. We've already withheld $3 million in payments. So the taxpayers will not get hurt, and we will prosecute any vendor if that's the case. But again, we own those restaurants. We have built out 6 new restaurants, and we're going to reopen them with a different vendor.
One thing, though, I want you to listen to what part of the Budget Committee said about just changing some of the way that the tourism does do the contract. So let's listen in. I'd like to just get your response on the other side.
Sure, absolutely.
That direct appointee answers directly to the governor and does not answer to a commission. So there's no oversight at all, and I think that's what's got us in the position we're in today.
He's talking about the tourism director, who is no longer there, is, you know, I guess what I think people are just wondering, like, did the tourism department make some mistakes in granting such a contract like that? You
know, truth will come out. I don't think so. I think that they were moving forward. They built out 6 great restaurants. Again, if a vendor, there's 4,600 vendors across the state that we do business with, and if a vendor overcharged, we're going to get to the bottom of it. We've sued the vendor. We are now having forensic reviews of the accounting. What were the invoices? But again, they built out 6 different restaurants. And again, we'll get to the bottom of it. I have full faith that OSBI, we've got the auditor on this issue now. We have a lawsuit going on with that vendor. And again, I don't want to comment too much to disparage anybody until the facts come out. So it's really reckless for folks to point fingers until we find out what all the facts are. But I will tell Oklahomans this: nobody will protect the taxpayer, audit more, have more transparency than Kevin Stitt. We have the largest savings account we've ever had in state history. We are all about holding people accountable. I always think about the taxpayer before we move forward on anything.
You've signed several abortion bills into law, one of the most restrictive in the country. We're also awaiting a big decision from the U.S. Supreme Court on Roe versus Wade. What do you think the fallout of the abortion legislation and really the conversation across the nation, what do you think the fallout's going to be with that?
You know, here's the deal. 9 justices, unelected people in the U.S. Supreme Court, should not decide what's best for every single state. That's not the way our Constitution's set up. And this is a state's issue. And so every state's going to treat it differently, and they're going to determine when life begins. In Oklahoma, I'm proud to be called the most pro-life governor in the country. We believe life begins at conception, and we don't want abortion in Oklahoma. On the contrary, Colorado just passed abortion on demand all the way up to birth for any reason. And to me, that's just grotesque. That's more aligned with China and North Korea than even European countries. European countries ban abortion at 12 to 14 weeks, but every state will do it differently. I don't know how much more clearer I can be when I meet with the national media as well. We don't believe in abortion in Oklahoma. I represent 4 million Oklahomans.
With any exception, with no exception whatsoever?
Well, we did the rape and incest on the conception deal.
On the conception one.
That's exactly right. And, you know, we want to be #1 in protecting women. We want to love the child and the mother in Oklahoma, and we think we can do that. But we don't believe that you know, killing a baby is the right thing to do either.
Hey, real quick, Governor, there's a lot of economic development announced at the Mid-America Industrial Park up near Pryor, including Project Ocean, widely rumored to be Panasonic. I think folks expected that big announcement to be followed by an announcement by Panasonic saying, hey, we're coming. Is there any update you can provide on that and how things are going with that massive deal?
Well, we're calling it Project Ocean, and Project Ocean is it's ongoing. They have not made a decision yet.
Why haven't they made a decision?
You know, I think some of the, it's basically what's hurting Oklahoma's everyday families. The supply chain, inflation cost, their costs have gone up to build. It's going to be one of the largest factories in the country. So they've kind of taken a step back, and I've been told that in July now they'll be able to make a decision on where they're going to be locating. I've been in contact with the different leaders in the company. We're continuing to push. We feel, you know, cautiously optimistic that we can get that across the finish line, but we'll see. There's been no decision made yet.
All right, Governor, we want you to hang out with us just a little bit longer. We're going to talk endorsements for the upcoming primary and elections and Father's Day coming up. So if you'll hang here with us for just a little bit longer, we'd appreciate it.